Students, let's have a look at this assignment exercise, HTML Lab 2. So we've already done this a little bit in class, so some of this have already been said, but we're going to go over it a little bit anyways. So we have to make a number of folders and files. And so we need to make an index file, we need to make a schedule file, an assignment file, and an info file, and we need to put those in various folders. So off of our Lab 2 folder, we need to make an images folder, a info folder, a schedule folder, and an assignment folder. So I've kind of started that here. You can see that there. We've got an images folder, an info folder, a schedule folder. Haven't got an assignment folder, so it's kind of easy to do. I know you know how to do it, but just so that for completeness, let's sort of do it. Right-click, new folder, and then that's going to be the assignment folder, I think. And so now we've got all of our folders. Now what have we done with folders? We've got an index file, which is in the root of the Lab 2. I've called this October 2 Little Web, but you could call it Lab 2. In the schedule folder, we're going to have a file called schedule HTML. In the info folder, we're going to have a file called info.html. It's not there yet. And likewise for the assignment folder, we'll have to put a file there called assignment.html. And so how we can make this, my way of doing it would be, start with the index file. You can actually copy and then edit what you're doing from the index file. That way, actually, it gives you some consistency so that the files are all kind of sort of the same in their look and feel. But it also makes it kind of easier from point of view about what your the content that you have. You don't have to start over. You're not reinventing the wheel every time. So over here I have open the index HTML file, and we've got some things going on. So there's going to be a nav. In the nav, we're going to have links to all of the other pages in our website. And notice, please look at that and notice that the link is using what we call relative addressing. I'm not using anything that says that indicates anything about my hard drive or anywhere on the internet or anything like that. It's just saying from where I am now, go to this folder and then find that thing. So that's what we mean by relative addressing. Relative from where we are, how do we get there? So from the current folder, go to navigate to the schedule folder, and in the schedule folder find the schedule HTML. How does that look? If I double click on the file itself, I should be able to launch a browser. And that's what I've done. I've launched a browser, and the browser is sort of showing some things. Okay, so what's that going on there, you might ask? Well, what I've actually got is I've got an image, because it did ask us to do an image. It's got an image which is in the background, and the image is sort of opaque. Opaque means stops light coming through, but sort of transparent, which means allows light to travel through it. So it's somewhere between opaque and transparent. So we actually have a command to do that in CSS, and that command we use the term opacity. Opacity means how much light is traveling through it, so can come through it. So what's happening here is we're saying the opacity is set to 0.5, which is 50%. So half of the light, it's half as much of the picture is showing as would be if it was totally opaque. So it's halfway between opaque and transparent. Now what we've done actually, and that might look like a lot of code going on there, I hope it's not too much, but we've actually created a tag for the main, and we've styled the main to give it a certain size and a certain way of positioning, because we're going to have one thing overlaying another. What we've actually got is we've got a picture overlaying the main work. So the main, if we look at the main, all it's got in it at the moment is just a heading which just says my stuff, right? But there's nothing really else in there, and so we notice that only the main and only the main has this picture overlaid over top of it. And how that works is by doing this thing. We have this ability to do before and after. And so basically what's going to happen here is the main is going to be presented on the screen, and then immediately after it, you're going to have this image put into the background. And the rest of this stuff is about where that image is going to be. And very important that at the bottom is telling us that if we have layers, and we do have layers here, that the image itself, this thing that we're doing after the main, which is our image, that's going to be sent to the back. So the Z index, the higher the number of the Z index, the further forward it is. And so making it -1 is putting the image behind. And so the image is behind and the other stuff is sitting on top of it. The image is kind of half opaque, and so it's kind of light. And so that's how that is working. Right, so I'm going to pull this out and we'll do some more of the nav stuff. Just so that we can see that. How did I get the nav there? I know I don't know, but I think that we did this in class. So it's the same kind of idea, href, hyperlink reference, and then where is it that we want to go? Well, we want to have, for example, the info page. So the info page is in the info folder, and it's going to be called info.html. It doesn't exist at the moment, but it will soon. And let's close that A tag, and then we're going to say that that's going to be info. And so what I need to do now is I need to actually create an info file. I'm going to save that. And how I'll do that is I'll just take this and make a copy of it, and I can do that by save as. And where I'm going to save it is I'm going to save it in the info folder, and I'm going to call it info. It's the easiest way of doing it, I think. And so now I have my info page. Probably what I should do is I should edit it so that it is the info page, so it's no longer the index page. And so, for example, the title is no longer going to be the home page. It's going to be the info page. Let's just call it and those things will be okay. Maybe the background is not going to be this thing. Maybe I could have a different background. Well, I don't know what backgrounds I've got here, but let's see. If I go, right, it's not really showing me. So I need to look in my folder. There. So in the images, let's choose one of these instead. I don't know. I'm just going to do the fruit thing. No, the fruit's going to tile too much. It's not big enough. CNAQ entrance schedule. No, schedule will be for the schedule one. Fruit will tile. Well, I'll show you fruit anyway, so you can see how it tiles. And it's kind of sad, but that's all right. Fruit.jpg. It's a small image, so the small image will tile. If I wanted it not to tile, I'd have to make this a smaller main. And anyway, so this is going to, the header is going to be about info, and the navigation, what I'm going to have to do for the navigation is from the info folder, I have to go down to the parent. I can't go directly like this, so that's going to have to be, that wouldn't have worked, that reference, so I should go back and fix that too. So let's see. I'm also going to go back to the index, if I can find it. Oh, here somewhere. Well, actually, maybe an easier way is just to go and take it out from, no, that's videos, that's a different thing. This one. And go and get the index file and open it. Right click and open it with code. That's what we're doing. And yeah, this was wrong. That's why I couldn't find the folder file. There we go. So now the info file should be there. Yes, it is. And info.html. So now if I go to save that, and if I go on my web page, this is the index because it says the home page, and I renew, and I have an info show up in my navigation. And if I click on that, it takes me to the info, and I don't have a home there. So obviously I have to edit my schedule in my info, and I don't seem to have an image. The fruit thing hasn't really shown up, so there's something wrong with that. Let's go back and have a look at the info. Info should have, and actually all of these should have a tag that takes me back to the home. So that could be back to index.html, and that should say, so close the tag, and that should just say home. Now, there's all kinds of styling you could do with this. You could put it in bars with lots of background and make it kind of beautiful. It's just kind of ordinary at the moment, but let's see. So this, I'm actually in info, so that's not going to work because so info is where we are now. So when I want to go to info, I'm just going to do that. Schedule is going to work like that, and index is going to work like that. So to get to schedule, I'll first have to go to the parent, and then to schedule, and all right, so that's how that's going to work. I'm going to copy this because I'm going to use it in the schedule folder. I'm going to use it in the info as well. So if I go back and index as well, so I'm going to go to the index and put a home button there. Go to the, just from where I am now, just take that, and all right, so let's see what we got here. This is the info page, and now I've got a link that takes me back to the home, and from the home I can go to the info, and or I could go to the schedule. Now the problem with the schedule is the schedule won't take me, the schedule go to home? Yeah, okay, so schedule I already had a home button in it, but it also needs to have a button to go to the others. I think that's kind of getting you started. If I look at the schedule page, maybe that's worth looking at, because I kind of did a little bit on that earlier. So just looking in the schedule page, and you got a few more things to do, but let's open that with code. And so what I did there is I put a list of some stuff about the schedule. It's just it's nonsense, but it doesn't matter. And you'll see that I used a different image for the background. So if I look at my schedule page, it's got a schedule as a background. And again, it's working with this halfway between opaque and transparent. So it's actually, the code is actually the same. The opacity is 0.5, and it's just that we use a different image. And I think that's probably a good place to sort of stop. And yeah, good luck with that.